Hi there.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. My name's Leah Charles-King, and welcome to this very special webinar courtesy of Bipolar UK. And it's all about seasonal self-care. So, for those of us who have bipolar and we go through changes, that's what I call it, especially at this time of year, I really do suffer with it. And I know many of you do too. So we thought it'd be a great idea to get together and have a nice little chat and share our experiences and also see if there's any advice or anything that we can share with each other to uplift and help us through this season, especially the Christmas months as well, the Christmas days coming up. So my name's Leah Charles-King. I'm a TV presenter and a very proud ambassador for Bipolar UK. And I'm not here by myself today. You can see some wonderful people on the screen who will be joining me in this. We have Caroline Kimber, we've got James Markey, and we've got the very wonderful Nicky Chinn, who is my adopted father and my future music manager. That's just another story and another podcast for another day, I think, Nicky. I think it's overdue. So before I introduce them all properly, let's do just a little bit of housekeeping here for Bipolar UK. So there should be some sort of slide that's going to pop up on the screen any moment now. So, of course, welcome to all of you, wherever you are, far or wide, you are welcome here. This is a safe space, and I hope that where you find us right now, that you are well. And if you are struggling at the moment, there are so many resources on the Bipolar UK website, okay? Now, you will not be able to unmute your microphone during this chat. So the chat function or the turn on your video during this session, they won't work, all right? If you'd like more support during or after today's webinar, please reach out to our very friendly peer support team. You can go to bipolaruk.org/get support. Okay. But if you just go onto the Bipolar UK website, you will see it on the homepage, get support. Click on that and it will take you right there and you can see the next steps. Now, today's webinar will be recorded and we will upload the recording straight to our website afterwards and we'll send it out to all of our registered attendees as well. So if there's somebody that you know that you think could benefit from this chat, then you can feel free to share it with them after this event has taken place. Now, just a little content warning for you. We may mention suicidal thinking or suicide during this webinar. So if you need to leave at any stage, please feel free to do so. Okay. And if you or someone you care for needs urgent help, please see a list of resources on the Bipolar UK website, which is bipolaruk.org/crisis support. Okay, so again, if you just go to the Bipolar UK website and you look for crisis support, click on that and it will give you all the options that you need. Okay, and I would say to you, please hold on. Nothing stays the same. Even the seasons have to change. So speaking of which, let's bring in my crew, my wonderful panel of experts today. I'm going to start off with the granddaddy of all of us, our wonderful ambassador, Nicky Chinn, such a lovely man. Now, Nicky, he is, as the kids would say, Nicky's big on these streets. He really is. He's done some amazing, amazing work in his career. If you don't know, you do know, actually. You probably just don't know that it's him behind a lot of your greatest hits. So Nicky has had more than 50 hit records. Can you believe it? 50 hit records. I'm waiting for the 51st, Nicky. That's going to be me and you, okay? Our
That's
little
right.
duets, yeah? And these hits, they're worldwide hits. They include Living Next Door to Alice, Tiger Feet. We know that one, don't we? Lonely This Christmas. We all know that song. And actually, Nicky, I want to ask you about that a bit later on as well in the chat. Borum Blitz and Mickey. We know Mickey as well. And more recently, Nicky, not to be confused with Mickey, Nicky was a co writer on APT, which was the song by Rose and Bruno Mars. Remember that one? Pata, pata. Not a good impression of
I
it.
remember it,
Kind of how it
certainly.
goes, right? Kind of how it goes, Nicky. And it was number one on the Billboard chart for a record breaking 19 weeks. So, my goodness, well done and congratulations to you, Nicky. Um,
Thank you.
Also, let's say hello to e-commerce manager and Bipolar UK media volunteer, Caroline Kimber. Hello to you, Caroline. Now, Caroline was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 at the age of 16. And then we also have here as well James Markey. Now, James is an IT owner and a Bipolar UK media volunteer as well. And James was misdiagnosed with depression in August 2023, and he experienced a mental health crisis on Christmas Eve and that same year. And then he was diagnosed with bipolar. So thank you to all of you for being here and giving up your lunchtime to hang out and have this chat. The key themes that we're going to be talking about today is loneliness at this time of year. So being in hospital, dealing with bipolar alone, grief, especially at this time of year, can be very intense. We'll be talking about burnout, which is so many people with bipolar or not suffer burnout this time of year, don't they? Because it's all that pressure to get everything done before the break, whether it's work, whether it's getting the home ready for Christmas, the guests, the kids, the socializing, all of that stuff. And then you've got impulsive spending, feeling that you want to spend on gifts or those Black Friday sales and all of that. Of course, for entertaining purposes and socializing, having people over, you feel that pressure. And also, we'll be discussing disrupted routines, which I can really attest to, the sleeping patterns and the mood changes and things like that. So let's get to it. So, Nicky, let's start with you. Your hit song, Lonely This Christmas, it really sums up how people in the bipolar community feel at this time of year. I mean, so many are dealing with that loneliness. It feels like many people are having the greatest time of their lives and you're at home suffering. I know I felt like that in any season, but certainly at Christmas, if you're not in a good place and it just feels like the world is in a wonderful sparkle and you're not part of it. So, I mean, was this song written from your own experience?
Not really, no, not from an illness experience, but it was written from my own experience. It's a bit of a heartbreak song, but it's not a bipolar song. I know it kind of represents everything we're talking about today and being lonely at Christmas and feeling cast off and all of those things. So it's personal experience, but not a bipolar experience. But I
Yeah.
think people can relate to it, whatever they are.
I agree. And I think that's why it's such a global smash hit that is played
Yeah,
every single year because bipolar or not, right, is something that everyone can relate to at some point, that feeling of
absolutely.
loneliness. And it does really touch the heart, doesn't it? And I could imagine that you get a lot of people telling you that when they find out that you're one of the writers on this track. They must really tell you how much they can relate to the music.
A lot of people have, yes, because there's not many people who haven't been lonely one Christmas or another. If they are, I want to meet them. It's a pretty universal thing. I mean, most people have pretty good Christmases most of the time,
Mm.
but I know a lot of people who one Christmas or another it hasn't worked out, and people do relate to the song for that reason.
So, Nikki, when you were a teenager, you were just 17 years old, and sadly, you tried to take your own life. Thankfully, you're still here many, many years later to tell the
Yes.
tale. And this happened around Christmas, wasn't it? You ended up yourself in hospital around that time. What was that like for you?
I was in hospital a bit later than that, but being in hospital on Christmas Day, um, well, it's depressing, and I'm already depressed. Um, it it was it was the worst feeling. I felt so alone. And I always remember hugging myself and saying, Nicky, happy Christmas. It was a very lonely place. And when you're pretty young and in hospital on Christmas Day, and I don't recall anybody coming to visit me. It was a lousy time and a lousy place. I do remember they did bother to lay on turkey, um, but that didn't really make a lot of difference.
No, of
No.
course not. No. I always just say to people, hold on. That would be my key theme, I think, throughout this chat, to hold on, because even the seasons change. So thank you, Nicky. I'll come back on to you a bit later on in the chat. Yeah, it's been wonderful speaking with you.
Great to talk to you too.
Thank you. And let's now speak with James. How are you doing, James?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I happened to leave some eggs on for lunch, and so I came doing sort of steam everywhere. But I got there just in time to sort it.
Oh, have you sorted it? Because I was going to say I
That's all
could go
good.
on to Caroline if you want, and you can sort out the eggs.
No, we're good. It's a safe situation in the kitchen. We're good.
Because we don't want any emergencies on this webinar, all right? But apart from the egg situation, how have you been feeling this season so far? Has it knocked your mood? Because it certainly has dented mine.
Well, for me, it's getting into, I guess, potentially rocky period. Like everything gets a little bit more intense for me at Christmas. It's the end of the year for a lot of other countries. So we tend to get orders last minute to go out and do installations, and it's international travel. It's sort of the excitement as well of being face to face with people, making a deal, making some money. And yeah, so it's potentially a rocky period, but at the moment it's good.
It sounds really intense.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. So lots of people living with bipolar, they talk about feeling overwhelmed and burnt out at this time of year, especially if they need to get lots of projects completed before they can have the time off. It sounds like somebody I know, James. So as a business owner yourself living with bipolar, can the stress trigger all your bipolar symptoms, or at least some of them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, there's a lot going on every year. So I feel a little bit overwhelmed every single year, I think, especially with since being diagnosed, because I'm aware of that sort of run up to the week of Christmas. But the traveling, I'm fortunate that the jet lag and everything's not too bad. But occasionally it happens that instead of going to a country and coming back, I end up going from a country to a country. And I mean, sometimes it's intense. A few years ago, just before the war, I was in Al Nahar University in Palestine. So you're out there working, installing equipment in university, and you hear gunfire in the background. So it can be intense situations, or in countries where it's you come from you come from cold and ice in the UK to blistering heat in the desert somewhere. So yeah, it's a mix of things that could happen.
No, it really is. I mean, I know what you're saying is quite extreme because you have quite a specialist job. That wouldn't necessarily be the average person's daily life, right? But it's really important. You can sort of compare it with other things in life, just having to travel, getting up early in the morning to go to work, or maybe you do a night shift. I used to do TV in the dead of night, like from midnight until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And that used to really burn me out because my sleeping patterns were all over the place. And obviously I have bipolar. And at that time I wasn't out like I am now. So I was hiding it at the same time. And I was really struggling. Also, with the job I do now, it's a TV show that many of you know where I travel a lot. I find that difficult. I find leaving home, the comfort of my home, difficult. I find having to intensely get this production done and be so switch on, especially first thing in the morning with a bunch of strangers, and have to remember all this information. And but people look and go, oh, what a lovely show, it's so sunshiny, and it's so, aren't you lucky to get away? But I'm not in my bed, I'm not at home. When I leave home, I don't sleep properly. So from the minute I leave my home, I'm on like high alert. I'm anxious. I don't sleep for the whole week's filming or the 2 weeks, however long I'm away, until I get back home again. And then I realize that I've been holding my breath, in essence, for a good couple of weeks. And that has a knock-on effect, because when I get home, I'm so burnt out. I sleep for a week. I can't really communicate that well with people. I'm irritable for most part of it. But there are other things that I have to do in between, like hosting a Bipolar UK webinar. Do you know what I mean? Because life has to continue and life has to go on. So I know what that burnout could really, really feel like. And I think that even though our situations may sound extreme, it could be as simple as getting up when that alarm goes off at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and having to go outside in the dark and the cold. Doesn't that affect you at all?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's the sleep and the alcohol are probably quite big things for me. And I'm not perfect. I mean, you can see with my eyes that we went out and had a nice evening last night. But
So you're away at the moment, are you?
no, I'm at home, but just sort of general
Ah,
Christmas festivities going
yes.
out. So like it mixes with my medication, not greatly. So it feels like one drink for me is probably 3 drinks for the person next to me
Yeah.
when I get up in the morning. So
Yeah.
that's another sort of thing in the lead up to Christmas, the festivities, the sort of pressure to keep up with it as well, I guess.
Yeah, that is such a fair point as well. So then how do you manage your mood during this time?
I guess I've got a few things in place. Like I had to use the bipolar mood tracker each day, which is quite handy for the amount of
It's really
hours that you've
good.
got with sleep.
Mhm.
To the side there, I also use an app called Dailyo, which I found quite
Yeah.
good for journaling at the same
Mhm.
time. And so then that allows me to sort of zoom out and see whether there's a pattern going. And I have the what do you call it, the mood scale actually on my board, and I've customized it. So I've got the mood scale, then I've got what does it look like for me? Like, is it that I'm spending over £100 in purchases? And then I've put what should I start doing to try to stop it in the direction that it's going. And so I'm quite cautious, and I try to put things in place each step, but I'm not perfect by any sense.
Yeah. But you found something for you that works for
Mhm.
you. And that's really good. I'm really inspired by that, actually. I'm like, oh, he's going really deep with that. I like the fact that you've put it on your board where you could see it, where you could reference it, and that you've also customized it to you as well, which is good. And I do recommend the Mood Tracker app for anyone who's listening to this. It's a really good resource. Dailyo's good as well. I also use Day One app, Day One journal, because you're able to have different color coded journals. So I've got one just for like daily stuff, but I have also one for my mood if there's anything bothering me, because I feel like to write and to let it out really does help as well. Nicky does that, I'm sure, with his music. He pours out all his creativity, his thoughts. Do you, Nicky?
I do, but it's very interesting how writing can be really very subconscious. And I'll finish a song and go, wait a minute, was I thinking that? And that's how the song formed very often. And I wasn't conscious of it at the time, but actually it reflected my mood and what was going on
Mm.
at the time, but I didn't realize it when I was writing it. And a lot of writers I know experience the same thing. So basically, we're writing it, but we don't know what we're writing, and then we do.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes when you look back at that body of work, in the 90s, I used to write music, Nikki. I was in a girl band. I think you know this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And so we used to write a lot of music as well. And looking back, I mean, I was only a teenager and some of the themes were so grown up, but this was all coming from us. And as you say, when you're writing and you're offloading, you don't realize it at the time. It's actually a very powerful tool, whether it's writing music or poetry or just getting things off your chest. I really do recommend that. To anyone journaling, I think it really, really is helpful. And if you could get a hit record out of it, a hit record or 50 more out of it, like Nicky, then you're onto a winner. So keep writing, I say. Let's bring Caroline into this conversation. Caroline, it's nice to see you.
Too. Hi.
Hi, how are you feeling this season? Has the whole seasonal affective disorder, has it hit you yet?
I mean, I'm quite lucky. I love Christmas. I've always loved it. That's because I've created a lot of really great memories about it. But there are reservations on how I will feel throughout the festivities. Like we've spoken about before, like grief, that loneliness, like burning out. Those are all things that I experience as well. But because I've been diagnosed with bipolar for so long, I've had a lot of experience of how to kind of pick myself up. And I've been able to give advice on how other people can pick themselves up too. But mostly, yeah, really great at the moment.
That's excellent. I mean, obviously, Christmas, as we know, is kind of the crescendo of it all. But what about the build up and then the aftermath? Because you go to this can't say it now, crescendo, and you have Christmas, then you have New Year, and then it's like, well, certainly for me, I feel like it's just one of those hyped up things. And then I feel really sort of anticlimactical, just like a deflated balloon after all of that. And it feels like from the minute the summer ends and we get into September and the autumn creeps in, I just feel it. And it feels foreboding to me. It's like, oh, you've got the Christmas buzz in there. And I think that kind of keeps you going. But it's almost superficial, isn't it? Because it can really drag you into either, like James said, that manic spending, or like you would say that the socializing element, which can be OTT, or the grief side of things as well. So how do you manage the effects before and after Christmas?
Well, I guess it's just learning from experience. I mean, there's things that I've learned all throughout the year that I'm like, I'm going to carry this into Christmas in case it happens again, then I'll know what to do. But like James, overspending is a huge problem for a lot of people with bipolar. And it's the same with me. I've had to do a lot of work to try and understand money a bit more and understand that, with buying people gifts, they don't have to be the most expensive. With me, I can be quite impulsive. So I don't really buy big ticket items, but it's more kind of how it builds up to it. I can feel the pressure of family where they're very thoughtful with their gifts and they can be quite expensive. But I've learned that being a bit more personal with your gifts means so much more. Like if you like baking, for example, if you want to bake cookies or a cake for someone, that shows that you're putting a lot of effort into it. A big kind of red flag as well is after all the stress, you feel like, right, I'm going to do some retail therapy. I'm going to go and spend everything on myself. And you feel great for a few hours. And then the next day you think, what have I done? And then you get that guilt. So my advice for that would be to maybe talk to a family member. Like I talk to my dad and my brother all the time. And if I feel like they need to help me a bit, just kind of control that money pot, then they're there for me. But if you really feel like buying something, I've learned the 24-hour rule. So you wait 24 hours to see if you really need it. So then you're not in a shopping centre, you're not under that pressure, oh, do I buy it now? You can really think about whether you need it. So that's something that's really helped actually.
Yeah, that is a really good bit of advice. I do that now as well because I really suffered with impulsive spending, particularly in bipolar mania. I was just, whether it was online, in person, it didn't matter. I was just spending, in effect, money I didn't have. I was just getting myself into debt. And it was a really dangerous time. And now, like you say, you live and you learn, right? And like Nicky said, we have these choices and renewing the mindset. Now I tend to do most of my shopping online. For me, I think that's better because in the shops, I feel more pressure and also all the people and everything. I don't like it. So I kind of shop in the comfort of my own home, which can be dangerous in itself, especially when you see sale, and they've got now one item left, two items left. And it's probably not even true, but it motes you to think, oh gosh. So I do exactly what you've said, actually, Caroline. I put it in my basket and I'll just say, all right, let me leave that there for a minute. And I'll go on another site and I'll look around there and then another one. And like virtually going into shops. And then I've forgotten. I've forgotten all the stuff that I said I loved so much and I needed. And I've forgotten them. And days later, I mean, I'll come back weeks later and I'm like, oh yeah, I might see now it's sold out. And I'm like, oh, I don't really care for it. So it just goes to show that I never needed it in the first place, but I will convince myself. And it's that guilt feeling, right? It sucks.
It kills you. It really does, because you feel like you've worked really hard all year to work on yourself and all these strategies, but then within a matter of like 2 hours, you're back to where you started, and you just feel all that progress I've made, was it even worth it? And then you start going into spirals. So it all kind of links together, everything that happens. So that's why like a really good thing for me was joining like support groups. And I used to bring my family along to them as well, because then you are working on yourself constantly throughout the year. And then if it got to Christmas and I felt like that, I did have people to talk to. So it's all just about, try not to keep it to yourself, try not to be lonely, voice your emotions or your worries, even if you're scared about it, to somebody who loves you. And it just feels a lot better, really.
So what do we say to those who feel like they don't have anyone? I think what a blessing that you can go to these meetings, but that you could also take people with you, and that they will come with you. Because in my situation, there was nobody to come with me and I didn't have the support. So then what advice would you give to those people who really do feel like they have nobody? And I always believe that they have at least one person. I know that even in my darkest day, I had more than one person, but I couldn't see it. So what advice would you give to that past version of me, or anyone listening to this who really feel like they've got no one?
Volunteering could be really good. It gets you in the festive spirit. You get to talk to people from all walks of life. You get to share stories and you get to know them, and you might make some good friends. If you feel like you can't leave your house, if you're in a really bad way, then there are online support groups as well. Sometimes online can be better for people and easier for people than meeting in person. There's less anxiety, but that's a really good place to start. Try to get to know people, and just you'll start to learn that everybody's got something, and it brings you all together, and you can just learn from each other, really.
That is such great advice. Genuinely, I never thought of that one. And you're right, it's the power of connection. And when you feel lonely and when you feel alone, because those two things are different, to connect, I guess, is the best medicine. And even though you feel like you don't want to, you put yourself in a little bubble, you wrap yourself up. I know for me, I'm very anxious at that time of socializing, being around other people, although I always appear very outgoing. That is almost a cloak I wear for work. I learned to do that during my darkest days because I had to survive. So it's something that I can get into that mindset of, I'm working and this is what it is now. And I almost have to leave the real me at the door because she wouldn't survive. So in those situations, what you just said there, that power of connection, I just think is that's going to sit with me. So thank you for that, because it's something that I do, and I think it's something that's such an important message. And I hope people here who may feel really by themselves get that and receive that, because it's just to connect. Even if this week, my challenge to you, if you feel alone, is try and connect with one person, whether it's a stranger at the bus stop or a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while. Send that message, make that call, try and make that connection. And if you really feel like you don't have anyone, then there are friends to be made. You don't need to do this alone. There are support groups here with Bipolar UK. There are in-person groups. There's the e-community that Bipolar UK have online. There are friends to be made, and you are not alone in this. I promise you, because we've all felt alone at some point on this journey, and you don't need to do this by yourself. Caroline, I know as well that my condolences, you lost your mum not too long ago. And so I know that grief at Christmas is awful. I would imagine most of us have been there. And so some Christmases are easier than others, right? But how do you cope since your mother's passing?
So yeah, it's been about 7 years now. But
Yeah.
I was really scared for that first Christmas because I didn't know how the grief was going to be. But what I learned is just to keep talking about her, like the people you're with that you feel comfortable with, keep talking about those memories because, as sad as it sounds, you can't make new memories with your lost ones, but you can talk about them and think about them and have laughs and giggles and tears, and just remember the good times, really. Um, Grief isn't like a symptom of bipolar, but it's kind of like a condition on top of it. So you really have to get to know your triggers and everything and what calms you down. So that's I think going through grief actually really toughens you up, not just for like the grief side of things, but also for when you're dealing with your bipolar. So it's not all bad. It just means that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. But yeah, I talk about her all the time.
Mm.
And I would encourage everyone else to do that. It's just really
Yeah.
healing and quite calming as well.
I agree. I think it's I know for some people grief we all take it differently, right? Some people don't want to speak about it and they want to hold everything in. But actually I feel like the greatest honor that you can give your loved one is to keep them alive in this life and to continue speaking about them and how great they were and the great things they did. And for me, I lost my grandmother in 2020 and she was my best friend. She was like obviously an extension of my own mother. In many ways, I was much closer. So it really was difficult. And for some of the family, especially at this time of year, they shut down. They can't talk. They won't talk. And some of them feel uncomfortable because I always talk about her. She was the matriarch of our family, which is a very big Caribbean family. And I feel like it's part of how I honor her. So I really do encourage people to do that at this time of year, at any time of the year with their loved ones. Light a candle, think of them, go for a mindfulness walk, whatever it is that brings you comfort. I think that you should do that. And before we move on to sleep as well, I wanted to just throw out there to any of you. I mean, how do you guys avoid the festive burnout overall?
I think it's just being really aware that having a proper routine is going to be my best friend at the end of the day. Um, I used to work in London, which is, you're out all the time, you're drinking all the time, there's always something going on,
Yeah.
and it's extra busy in at Christmas time. What I would do is I would tell people closest to me, by the way, I do need to leave at this time, because I'd rather be seen as the person that leaves early than having to deal with, the burnout weeks afterwards. And I also put an alarm on my phone saying, like, go home now.
Okay.
And that's
So
great
you're
for.
strict.
I'm really, really strict.
I'm not. I see. That's where I go wrong. That's my downfall. That's my downfall, Nicky and James, because I'm like, yeah, I'm only going to go out for an hour and I'm going to come home, and then I'm like, wait, I become the life and soul of the party, obviously, and then I get too much in the moment, and then I'm the last one standing. That is my issue. But I know me, even if I could put 10 alarms on my phone and in that moment, once I'm in it, like I'm ignoring those alarms. So strict. I need to be more strict to myself. I need to be more like Caroline. That's what I'm going to think of.
I'm in your camp too, Liam.
Are you? So what about you, James? How do you manage this then?
But like I manage it sort of because I know I'm not going to be able to manage it. But so what we do is me and my girlfriend, we do a quiet staycation between Christmas and New Year. So we don't have that sort of limbo period of managing both families, everyone wanting to do big meals, go out, be festive. And we just sort of have a little staycation together somewhere close by.
That's lovely. So that sort of limbo week between Christmas and New Year's, where everyone sort of wants to get together and is so super busy, you just kind of remove yourself from the situation.
And it's a lot cheaper. Like if people go away at Christmas or you go away at New Year's, it's so expensive.
Yes.
But the week between, it's really affordable. And it's a nice way to just unplug and recharge but get ready for the festivities that are going to come again for New Year's, instead of just hovering at the sort of max all the way.
Yeah, because that's the time where you really overindulge in the chocolate, the alcohol, the food, whatever it is, and the socializing. I really like that idea because it doesn't need to be fancy either. Like you say, it's a staycation. It's somewhere not too far. You could do that within your means. And if you have the means to do it, of course. And that's a really good way of managing that. And what about you, Nicky?
Well, I'm in a business that used to burn out. So it doesn't just happen at Christmas. I don't know. I think really because of the business I am in, I'm used to the helter skelter and the burnout, and I just, I don't get up early anyway. So if I go to bed late, I have the luxury of sleeping in. And I've always been that way. Even when I was working at my hardest, I'd work late and get up late. So I'm not sure burnout is really an issue with me. I'm not sure it ever has been in that way. It's not something that would make me unwell. There are plenty of other things that would make me unwell, but that's not one of them. And I do want to pick up on a point that Caroline made about bipolar and grief, because I happen to agree with you entirely. I think there's a danger you can get mixed up with the two, and they are different. And I lost my wife 3 years ago, and everyone was very worried about me. And I kept on saying to everybody, I'm not going to get ill, because grief and bipolar have nothing to do with each other for me. And you kind of said the same thing, Caroline. And that struck a chord with me. It really did.
Gosh, that's so powerful. And you're so right. I agree. Again, going back to my grandmother when she passed away, or other members of the family, but particularly my grandmother, because it was such a shock and all of that. And we were going, it was during the COVID times as well. So, and we had to travel. So there was a lot of anxiety going on with it. And many people thought, there was myself, and I have an aunt who also has bipolar. And so the family were on high alert, thinking the two of us were really going to become ill. And what was interesting is that, again, the choices, Nicky, my aunt chose one way and I chose the other. I chose to arrange everything, arrange the funerals and honor my grandmother and talk about her and do everything that I knew she wanted, because like you say, bipolar separate. My bipolar is always going to be there. It's diagnosed now, it's there. And the grief now has come, and I haven't been able to stop that because life has happened and my grandmother's now gone. So I knew there was no point burying my head in the sand at that moment. I knew at that moment I had to, first of all, honor my grandmother and carry out her last wishes, and that the grief was going to come. It came already, and that it was going to sustain for however long. And actually, it doesn't leave us, does it? You have managed or managing your grief, but it doesn't mean every single day you don't think of your beloved wife and you don't miss her.
Oh, I want the grief. I love her that much. So I'm not going to stop grieving. I don't even want to, but I know how to live my life with it. But no, that's there forever. And the great memories are there forever. So to me, it's very natural. Of course, I think about her every day. I'm looking at her photo now on my desk. But it does have nothing to do with the illness. I have bipolar. I'm going to have that for the rest of my life, but hopefully it won't flare up. But I have the grief every day, and I'm quite happy to have that grief. It honors her.
Bless you, Nicky. It does. I know what you mean. Grief still, it's not nice though, but I know what you mean. And as a songwriter, you just got a knack of making it sound very poetic. It sounds like some kind of Wuthering Heights book or something written by an Emily Bronte. I don't know. You make it just sound very poetic, but obviously it's very heavy and it's very deep, and it can, of course, trigger our symptoms. Of course it can. It triggers depression or all types of things. But at the same time, like you say, the two things are separate and they have to be managed differently in many ways. Yeah, I understand. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to get on to sleep and that disrupted routine. I know we've all kind of touched on it in different ways, but the overstimulation the staying up later. I'm Team Nicky on this. I am a night owl naturally, so I will work. Especially, it's a creative thing. I think just generally, bipolar or not, a lot of creative I speak to, we tend to kind of work that way. And like you say, when I don't need to wake up early, I've got the luxury of being able to sleep for however long my body wants to. I've got it now to about 6 hours. I wake up feeling like a 70% full battery. I never feel 100% and raring to go. And I know that it could be because I need to tweak my sleep. Maybe I should try and go to bed earlier. But I get my best ideas at midnight. I get my second wind. That's when it's party time. Party for one, in this room. You can imagine I put all the disco lights on and So, but I like being me. It's what makes me happy. It's what gives me a pep in my step. Otherwise, the alternative is sitting there and being depressed. So I just find my little hits of happy. But the overstimulation can, of course, and the seasonal routines or disruption of it can really affect the sleep, which we know for bipolar is number one for affecting the mood. So how are we all dealing with this? I mean, Nicky, I know you don't struggle because you've got that luxury of just drifting off like an angel, waking up like an angel.
I wish it was that easy.
But James, how do you deal with those the patterns? How do they affect you during this time?
For me, it's somewhat similar. Like with my job, I have meetings and stuff booked in, but I can a few days ahead, I can tweak it, I can plan it around. So that's for the sort of natural sleep where I guess it disrupts my routine if I'm traveling, if I'm flying, if whatever else. And I put those sort of grass matinees. It's like a sleep-in. I don't know what the sort of English phrase for it is, but a sleep-in if I need it. And the general day sleep's okay. I can manage that. But there's just this thing where I take a quetiapine and it knocks me out within 10 minutes. Like I cannot take it in the living room because the first time I took it, I ended up on the floor.
Oh my God. Yeah, you've got to be careful for sure. I wait until I'm in bed safely before I take mine.
Yeah.
You're right. 1 minute you're awake, next minute you're gone, right?
Yeah, that's me now. But there's just saying on the sort of ramp up going into hypermania for me, it's like I take all the medication, be in bed, and my brain won't stop. Like it just keeps going. And I still don't really know what to do with it, to be honest. It's just all I've learned is don't get up. Don't go with that thought. Don't go to the computer. Don't write that really important email or that thing you forgot to buy or like it's just you remember this in the morning. Just stay here.
That is, keep doing that, James, because I've just remembered you were diagnosed in 2023. So it's a short time. You've come a long way in a really short time in terms of managing your bipolar, because I didn't get to even thinking these ways that you're thinking and creating these. I was still trying to understand bipolar on year 2 and 3. So I think how you are is incredible. What I would say is exactly that. Don't get out of bed. Don't listen to those thoughts, because then suddenly you get this renewed energy and you're up all night. My advice would be, if things are really pressing you, not even your phone, don't pick up your phone. Maybe have a pen and paper next to your bed and just make a little note. Dump it out of your head. Just dump it. But even if it's stuff that you know anyway, and maybe you've made a list already, but just dump it out. And then that can hopefully give you just a bit of respite, because the chattering used to be, that was the hardest part of the whole bipolar thing for me when I was first diagnosed. For years, the brain chatter, it just wouldn't stop, couldn't sleep, would wake me up in my sleep. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you guys. It would actually wake me up, and it was awful. So I think you're really right to fight that and ignore it until the medication can take over and send you nicely to the land of Nod, right?
I'll take it. I like it. Pen and paper. Going old school.
Honestly,
I'm bed by tonight.
Yeah, honestly, it's old school, because the phone, just the blue light alone is going to alert you. The temptation to then look at other apps. If you're anything like me, I pick up my device 10 times a day. Oh, what was I doing again? I end up on a social media app. That wasn't my intention. I meant to, I don't know, pay a bill or send an email. And now I'm doing something else. So it's there to distract us, right? So I would say go old school with the pen and paper. And also, I think Caroline, was you going to say something about that as well in terms of the sleep? There's sleep disruptions.
I'm on the same medication as James, quetiapine, so it does knock me out. But as we know, I'm strict with the routine and everything. So I've been doing it for years. Everyone who knows me, I eat at the same time, I sleep at the same time, just because that is a way to just calm my brain down a bit. But also I find I do have to nap during the day as well because of the quetiapine is so strong. It's, you know, years later, I still feel like a zombie sometimes. But also it just resets my mind a little bit and I feel a little bit fresher. But for me, it's all about routine. That's what's saved me a lot, I think.
Agreed. I think a nap, if you can get it in. There are phases I go through where I need that nap, and phases where I just go with the tiredness because I can't nap. I'm working or whatever, you know. So it really, again, depends. Everyone's lifestyle and the time of life is different. Look, we can talk about this for even longer. It's been a pleasure speaking to all of you. And Caroline, thank you so much. And you too, James. Have a fantastic Christmas. I know Caroline will be very strict. James, not so much. But either way, you both take care of yourselves and your loved ones at this time. And I wish you a very happy season. And my wonderful, darling grandfather, Nicky, I'm going to, well, all of that to you as well. Thank you always for the wonderful, wonderful advice that you give. You've really lived this. So everything you say, I hang off your word because you're steps ahead. And before I leave you, I do want to share some things with you. You can use the Bipolar UK support services on the website, bipolaruk.org. You will find support such as our 24-hour support, 365 days a year. There's an email, there's a helpline as well, and there's also the e-community that is available 24/7, even on Christmas Day. So if you are feeling particularly bad at any point during the season, go and find your tribe. Come and find us, and we will certainly be there to support and to offer that help. Of course, as well, there are the UK support groups. You've got ones in person, and there's also the virtual online support groups as well. In terms of sleep, and maybe I think this is a great time, if ever, to really start tracking your sleeping patterns. If you haven't done that before, now is the time. Let's do that for this season. Download the Bipolar UK Mood Tracker app. It's absolutely free and it's really, really easy to use. Takes a few seconds every day. You just press a button on your phone and it will track your mood. And honestly, it's life-changing in looking at any moods or triggers and just helping to manage your sleep in general, but also your mood overall as well. And James uses that one as well, and he mentioned that earlier. And also for those who are in debt or, you know, maybe get into reckless spending around this time, if you need any help and support with that, there is help available. People can get free debt advice from Bipolar UK's partner Pay Plan. Okay. And again, all of that information is on the website. So once again, Caroline Kimber, James Markey, and Nicky Chinn, thank you so much for spending a lunchtime with me talking about all of this. My name's Leah Charles-King, and I just want to say thank you so much to you for being here today. Remember, nothing stays the same. Everything has to change, just like the season. So if you're feeling rubbish at the moment, I've been there, we've all been there, we're going through it, but we can hold on, all right? And all the resources are there for you. So God bless, have a great day, and a wonderful holiday season. Take care. Bye, everyone.